Okay, this video starts off assuming that you've already drawn all your parts except maybe the number 3 taper pin. If you haven't already drawn that, you can obtain the dimensions for the taper pin from your instructor. We have a copy of the Machinery's Handbook 27th edition, and you can find the dimensions for the number 3 taper pin there. Now, take a look for a minute at how everything fits together, particularly the tension arm and the shaft. Okay, the shaft, the small end of the shaft goes into the 3/4 inch ream in the tension arm. On the shaft, there is a small hole for the pin to pass through, and there's also a small hole on the tension arm for the pin to pass through. So the pin passes through both of those parts, but you're not given any dimensions for the hole in either part. And the reason why, if you look at the note for the shaft, it says drill at assembly. So what they would actually do is they would assemble these parts, and then they would actually drill through the appropriate place on the tension arm and the shaft. They would drill through both parts at the same time to create the hole for the pin. So we're kind of going to do the same thing here in the assembly environment. And so the way that you do that is I am in the .iam file, okay, and I am actually going to create a work plane. Okay, so under the 3D model tab, I'm going to click plane, and then I'm going to click on the back of the tension arm, which, by the way, is also the back of the shaft. Okay, they're at the same after assembly. They're flush back here on the back. Okay, so I'm going to create an offset work plane. So I'm just going to, it may be hard to see on the video, but I'm just going to click on the plane and then pull it backwards, and I'm going to get it 3/8 of an inch, or negative. It's negative because of the direction I'm going for this assembly. 0.375. Okay, 0.375 of course is 3/8 of an inch. So once I get there, I want to click on the green check mark, and now I have a sketch plane I can work with. And once I've done that, I want to create a sketch on that plane. Okay, and you'll have to you'll probably want to use F7 to slice the object, and you'll probably want to project this geometry for the edge of the this portion of the tension arm. But what you'll want to do, and I've already done it, save some time, is you'll want to create a sketch on that plane. Let me double click on that. That looks like this. Okay, this is half of the pin, and again, the dimensions for the hole are going to be the same as the dimensions for the pin. And you can get that from the Machinery's Handbook. So this is the upper half of the pin, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to revolve that profile around the axis. So again, go to the 3D model tab and select revolve, and select the upper half of the shaft, and then select the center line for the axis, and then OK. And you can see that there's a hole created in the tension arm for the pin. And also, if I go to my wireframe view of the sorry, my computer's having some issues right now. If I go to the wireframe view, you can see that the hole passes through the shaft as well. Now, if it's important for some reason that the hole actually show up in the shaft and the tension arm part, in other words, if you want that hole to show up on the detail sheet for the tension arm or the shaft, then this won't work, because this hole is actually in the assembly environment. In other words, if I switch to the tension arm part, that hole is not there. Same thing goes for the shaft. It's only in the assembly, which is perfect for what we're doing here. We don't care if that hole that we just created shows up in the shaft or the tension arm in the detail sheet for the individual part, but we do care if it shows up in the assembly section or the assembly drawing. Okay, we want it to show up there. And in fact, if you look over here at the model tree, you can see that this revolution I just made, if I click the plus arrow next to that, these are called participants. Okay, this tension arm and the shaft, they're participants in the revolution that I did here, the cut that I did. Okay, but the changes again are not actually made to the part. Okay, so at this point we can bring in the pin and finish the assembly, and you can just use whatever method that you want to constrain the pin, which guessing that you may have already drawn the pin. And you don't have to get this part exact, but you just want to kind of slide this into place after you align the axis of the pin to the axis of the hole. Okay, so that's what that looks like when that gets finished. Okay, so I hope this helps you out, and that concludes this video.